Ben Allen with Allen CIO. Today, I have the opportunity to be interviewing Ian Campbell. Welcome, Ian.
Thanks so much for having me, Ben.
Today, we're going to be talking about CRMs, the value that they have to businesses and to people who are trying to better market to their clients. And specifically, our goal is to hit three areas. We want to talk about prospect marketing, customer experience, and also referral partners. So with that, Ian, please start us off by talking a little bit about prospect marketing using a CRM.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me here. And prospecting is always interesting, right? Because nobody really likes doing it, usually, anyway. And so what we find is that when you're prospecting effectively, and however you're doing that, right? Whether you're going out and going to networking events, whether you're going and just working on LinkedIn, or canvassing, walking and knocking on doors, whatever the case might be. You go through all this process, and however painful that might be for you is of course different for each person. Personally, I love networking, right? So that's never a hard thing for me, but canvassing is brutal. So if I'm going to do it, I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is going to be well worth it, and it's going to be followed up on effectively, right? The problem with that is that we're all also human, and we all find ways to avoid doing things. And so a lot of times the follow-up doesn't get done, and you end up with a stack of business cards about that thick sitting next to your computer on one side or the other. I used to keep mine to the right of my laptop all the time. But you end up with this stack of business cards that are just never followed up on, and all those things that you've done, to develop your lead, develop your network, develop your prospect list, what have you, are all gone by the wayside, right? So a good CRM can act as your sales assistant, right? Mission Suite's tagline is meet your sales assistant, right? And so a good CRM can actually act as a sales assistant for you, and it can actually really it can follow up for you proactively, and not just remind you to do these things, but actually do them for you. So for example, whenever you meet somebody, right, there are one of three things that are going to happen. There one of three ways the conversation goes. Either go away, we're never going to talk again, right? That's obviously on the low end. And then there's, we didn't really talk about getting together again, but I want to, so I'm going to pursue that. And then of course there's that kind of top level of, hey, we talked about getting together again, and so I'm going to make sure that I follow up with this person. So if you don't have the right system in place, then next thing you know, everything goes awry. So, but if you have a CRM that can actually function as your sales assistant and accomplish these things for you, then the follow-up email will go out automatically. Then, for that person that you talked about getting together with again, it stops being, well, yeah, I'll touch base with you later, and we'll get things scheduled. And it goes to, somebody just emailed me back, to an email that I never actually sent, or didn't realize that I sent, because it was done by my automated system. And so if you have a good CRM that can do that, then it can actually then again, it's being proactive for you, and it's reminding you, hey, it's time to make a phone call. Hey, it's time to touch base with this person, right? And so getting those reminders are important, because otherwise we forget, right? Because we're human, and other things take our focus. So that's really that's when it comes to when we talk about prospecting and using a CRM to power that, and to get more effective with that. That's a lot of times what we're talking about.
I like that. And one of the things I liked is, as we talk about automation, you mentioned automated emails that go out, but also the automation of setting up an appointment to meet with someone. It's not an electronic automation. It's a reminder to do something where you're going to be face-to-face with someone, or having a phone call. Right. I'd like to move this into the customer experience. If you take a prospect and they become a customer, what have you seen with CRMs in regards to improving that customer experience?
Yeah, so the key to a good customer experience, or for that matter, good prospect experience, or pretty much anything like that, is consistency, right? I mean, so being able to consistently stay in touch with those customers, making sure that things are always done so that they know that no matter what, they know that they're going to hear from you on the third Thursday of every month. And so they can kind of plan for that. They know that it's going to happen, and consistency equals reliability to most people, right? And so if you can remain consistent, then you can the whole experience of doing business with you, whether it's in a sales scenario or a customer scenario, is going to help you to remain consistent and prove that you're reliable, prove that you can be trusted. So utilizing a system that has some sort of an automated function to it. So for example, hey, every 6 weeks, an email goes out from my system to my clients and says, hey, how's everything going? Do you have any questions? Do you need to do a training session? Do you need some time spent together? Right? I mean, what's going on? How's things going for you? Most people will never respond to that, but they know that every 6 weeks they see my name pop up, they see Mission Suite's name pop up, and they say, hey, here we go, right? This is my guy, and I know that he's going to be there for me no matter what, right? And so that creating that kind of a consistency, if you can kind of develop that, and again, the systems in place and a good CRM that can manage that sort of automation is going to be important, because it's going to make things that much more effective for you.
Yeah, that speaks to me partially about the accountability aspect, that if you tell a prospect or a customer that you're going to do something, you need to do it. And one of the interesting things I ran into as I explored CRMs is that ideally what I like to do is to tell someone, I'm going to give you a call Tuesday at 2:15 in the afternoon. And I want a CRM that just doesn't tell me on Tuesday, give this guy a call. I want a CRM that tells me at 2:15 on Tuesday, here's the 5-minute reminder, because you need to call this person. Because as you mentioned, the consistent experience, doing what you're saying you're going to do, is critical, and you need to do it over and over, of course, to build that trust.
Absolutely. And I was laughing when you mentioned that, because I was thinking back to when I was starting in business and kind of doing things, trying to get things up and running. I remember missing a meeting one time because and I was in my mid-20s, something like that. And I'll never forget missing a meeting, and it was the only meeting that I ever missed with this client, or this customer rather. I was in a different industry, and it was, my relationship with that customer was never the same. And because that was all it took for this particular person, right? And so, so like you say, if you say, hey, I'm going to do this is what I'm going to do, then you better do it. Otherwise your reliability is going to be tarnished for a long time.
Absolutely. So third thing I want to mention, we've talked about prospects, we've talked about customers. Let's talk a little bit about referral partners and how they relate to a CRM. Can you educate us more about that?
Yeah. So again, the key to good referral relationships is again consistency, right? So who is it? Jim Rohn said that all things being equal, people would rather do business with those that they know, like, and trust, right? I think it was Jim Rohn anyway, whoever it was. But as I'm thinking about it, it wasn't Jim Rohn. I don't remember who it was though. But anyway, people would rather do business with those that they know, like, and trust, right? And the truth is that all things being equal, or that all things being unequal, people would still rather do business with those that they know, like, and trust, right? So so even if you have to go through a couple more hoops, or your price is a little bit higher, what have you, right? The only way to create that know, like, and trust factor is to spend time with someone. Right. And most people, and I'm speaking for myself here before I actually implemented my own system around this, most people will go to a networking event or meet somebody that they think can become a good referral partner, sit down with them for coffee once, maybe twice, and then a year later, it's, oh, hey, Bob, right? No, Ben. That's right. Yeah. And, so there's no relationship built there. And without that relationship, there's no opportunity to develop any sort of trust. But again, people, that's how people most of the time manage their referral network. And so what you're able to do with a CRM system that has automation built in, this kind of sales assistant model that we leverage, or that we kind of try to pursue, is that, you can automatically push out emails once every 6 months, 3 months, 6 weeks, whatever the case might be, and have that and basically say, hey, Ben, it's been a few months since we've gotten back together again for coffee. What's your calendar look like, right? Or hey, let's do a Zoom coming up next week. What's your calendar look like? Let me know, right? Those types of things, you can create that. You can set that system up so that every 3 months it automatically goes out, and the emails are personalized. They are they're being sent to you. They're being connected to you, so it feels like it's going to you. And then every email that goes back and forth is direct between you and me, right? So it feels like it's personal, and then it becomes directly personal afterwards, so that your scheduling process and all that kind of happens. So you can set those types of systems up so that you can continue to keep in touch with your referral network on a regular basis, once every 3 months, 6 months, whatever your personal preferences are.
I like that. I happen to know that you actually have 3 groups that you assigned into referral partners. If you could briefly explain the 3 groups, but then just focus on the most important group and how you're using your CRM to interact with that category of referral partner.
Yeah, so I classify my referral partnerships. I'm not a big sports fan, but I like baseball. So I classify my referral network into my home plate, my infield, and my outfield partners, right? And so there are people that I've gotten to know, that I've met, that I've connected with, and anybody who goes into any one of those 3 is somebody that I at least know and like, right? And actually want to spend time with. That's an important key to this whole thing. But those home plate partners are the ones that I'm working with. We're working with the same people to accomplish similar or the same goals, right? So in my case, we're talking to the directors of marketing, we're talking to the sales directors, we're talking to the business owners, and we're all having the same conversation around revenue generation, right? And around building processes to create more revenue and to make more money for their business. So those are my home plate partners, right? Because we're having the same conversations with the same people. And so I try to keep in touch with them every 6 weeks, right? It's an explicit relationship. Hey, do you mind if I shoot you an email once every 6 weeks so we can plan to get together, just kind of share wins from the past month, on a regular basis. And then there's the infield. I keep in touch with. I try to get together with them once every 3 months. They're the ones that they're either talking to the same people or they're having the same conversations, but usually not both. And so they might be, they might be great. They might, they might be great referral partners. They might send me clients, but more importantly, they're probably going to be able to send me more home plate partners too. And then finally, that outfield group are people that, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to refer business to one another, but they're well networked, they're good people, they're good to know. And so, I try to keep in touch with them once every 6 months. So those are my 3 levels. And then, like I said, just with that, using the CRM, I'm able to keep in touch with that home plate group once every 6 weeks automatically. So that every 6 weeks an email goes out, hey, what's your calendar look like for breakfast or coffee in the next week or so? And that happens every 6 weeks like clockwork, and no matter what.
That's exciting. I say exciting because I believe that the value of good CRM is really about time management at the end of the day, and it's helping me focus my energy in the right places. So, Ian, I really appreciate you sharing with us today. I'd like to share with everyone that I actually am a friend of Ian's. I know Ian through Rotary and through networking, and I'm actually a subscriber to the Mission Suite, his product. I loved it because my entry point was $50 a month for the first 500 contacts. And I was very excited to pay him more money because I passed that 500 contacts mark, and I'm up past 700 right now of referral partners, prospects, clients. So it's very exciting. If I may have you share with us, Ian, can you just tell us a little more about what is Mission Suite and why it's beneficial to businesses?
Yeah. So, again, Mission Suite is a CRM and sales automation platform, right? I mean, I call it a unified marketing platform because it manages CRM, it manages email marketing, it manages the inbound marketing tools that you connect to your website, for sign-up forms and whatnot. And it manages, it'll manage all that automation that we talked about. So it's the system that we use to power our referral networking. It's the system that we use to power our automated networking follow-up, right? All those different things. Even right now with when events aren't happening and whatnot, I'm still meeting people online, I'm still meeting people on Zoom meetings, and so I want to make sure that I'm following up on them. So Mission Suite is what we use to do that. And so it's a system that, to your point, it's the pricing model is such that we can use it for just about any size business. There's some way to access it and to get involved in it at a very low cost. And we're not charging per user. We're not charging for additional features. It's all based on the size of the size of the database. So if you're brand new and your entry point is $30 a month, because you've got 10 contacts, fantastic. There you go. You get the same tools and functions as everyone else. So those are some of our kind of the key things that we do, because again, we want to be serving people, we want to be serving businesses of all size, right? And so even if we need to, so for that reason, we have that small, that kind of small database plan, if you will, that allows people to enter into this and get their systems up and running so that they can, like you said, build up and go above and beyond.
Ian, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Ben. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.